In the new series out the East, I'll be tackling the teams that MJ had to go through and persevere through on his way to becoming an NBA champion. The first team that we will be talking about is the 1984-1985 Milwaukee Bucks. Let's get it. What's up, hoop heads? It's your boy Skinny Hardaway, and this is Retro Heat Check. Checking in one more time for the real hoop heads out there. And as always, thank you all for your likes, shares, your subscriptions, your comments, and of course your questions. You already know what it is. Each and every Wednesday evening, Q&A with Skinny. Bring in those questions, man. I lay down the gauntlet every week for you guys, man. My ladies, my fellas in the hoop head haven. Definitely bring those questions in. You guys have been really killing it. You guys have been bringing some really interesting, thought-provoking, fun questions, some really cool questions. Anytime that I have to that I'm discussing sneakers, that's always a bonus. Hint, hint. But definitely appreciate you guys. You guys have definitely been killing it, man. Continue to bring those questions in because that is what makes Q&A Wednesdays go. It's you guys. It's you guys. So, hey, tip of the cap to all you guys, man. Definitely keep up the good work. And as far as shout outs, man, we definitely got to give a huge shout outs to the squad. You already know, man, these are my guys, the guys that I rock with. They rock with me. We stand together. We stand with truth, integrity. And when you have ingredients like that, man, you remain undefeated out here. You already know what we're going up against. The narratives, the propaganda, the hate. You already know, man. We're just here just to restore respect and in order basically back into basketball discussions, man, because there's just been a lot of hyperbole and a lot of disrespect, especially towards players in eras in the past, in particularly the 90s, which I and many hoop fans of a certain age think is the golden era of the NBA. But needless to say, big shout outs to the main man, the inspiration of this whole channel. Sports and Fitness Rants, my guy. Uncommon Sense, Scap Attack, Too Raw for Sports TV, NMB Sports TV, Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best, Angry Old Hoops, Uncut Hoops, my twin, Phenomenal Fitness. You already know what it is, man. Big shout outs to you. Man, gotta give a big shout out to my guy, Ticket TV, Man Down Sports, Prince Sports, Geechee Life Sports Talk, Jordan versus LeBron, Shekel Storm NBA. Definitely got to give a big shout out to you. Kobe Bryant Film Room. Definitely got to give a big shout out. The Real Mind Crime. Big shout out to D'Allen Ricks TV. And also, big shout out to NBA Fact Self Research. Also, one last shout out. Got to give a big shout out to the guy hoop head out there, man. That dude is a wealth of knowledge. Definitely big shout out to you. I'm glad I came across you in the lives on Sundays. Definitely a great listen. Man, gotta give a big shout out also, man. Oh man, we gotta give shout outs, man. It's time for us to open up them doors and welcome on in the latest members of the Hoophead Haven. You already know what it is, man. The Hoophead Haven, a global community of like-minded individuals, man, that just wants the respect and bring order to basketball discussions, man. We got a love and we got a passion for old school hoops, and particularly the 90s, man. We talk about everything here, man. Top fives, top tens. We talk sneakers. We talk games. We talk players. We talk airs. We have debates. Hey, it's just a smorgasbord of content. You know what I'm saying? And there's only one rule in here. There's only one rule that I ask, is that if you ever see a fanboy in the comments getting crazy, you have my full permission to check them. You already know what it is, man. Nameless and faceless. That's what the status of all the fanboys are within the Hoophead Haven. So feel free to run amok within the guidelines of the YouTube community. We don't want to go too crazy. But yes, definitely you are allowed to put these guys in check. So let's welcome the latest members to the Hoophead Haven, and that is Tiger 24 and Joaquin Hamilton. Fellas, definitely welcome to the Hoophead Haven, man. Definitely glad to have you. Feel free to comment, ask a question, whatever, man. You ask a question, it definitely will go on to Q&A with Skinny each and every Wednesday. You already know what it is. If you got a comment, if you have a suggestion for a show or whatever, hey, bring those in as well. All is welcome. Everything is welcome. Everything is welcome here in the Hoophead Haven. So I hope that you guys enjoy your time, and welcome once again, man. Everybody within the Hoophead Haven, welcome these guys, man. Hey, welcome aboard, man. Hoophead Haven welcomes you. All right, let's get right down to it, man. This is the latest series that I would like to tackle. I call it Out the East. Basically, we're going to be highlighting the teams that Michael Jordan had to go through and grow from, and basically learn, about, learn these tough lessons, I guess you would have to say, from the teams that MJ had to face. And yes, he did have to face some hard lessons, despite the fact that he was super talented. And the first team that we will be talking about is the 1984-1985 Milwaukee Bucks. They actually were the first. They were actually the second seed in the NBA playoffs. The Bulls were the seventh seed at that time. Yeah, they were pretty much they were the number one team out of the Central Division. They won the Central Division over the Detroit Pistons. They had a record of 59-23. They were 36-5 at home. They were 23-18 on the road in the regular season. They were 20-10 within the division. They were the head coach was led by Hall of Famer Don Nelson, who was the coach of the year that year. The Milwaukee Bucks, their key players were Terry Cummings. He was a combo guard, shooting guard / small forward. He looked like a tight end, man. I mean, he was muscles on top of muscles, man. I remember Terry Cummings back in the day. He was definitely a great scorer. Averaged 27.5 points in the playoffs. He was actually 27 points a game, 8 boards, 2 assists, and 1 steal throughout the playoffs. Terry Cummings was the team's leading scorer. He was also second team All NBA, and he was an NBA All Star that year. He actually his 27.5 points a game actually edged out Michael Jordan's 27.3. Only player to outscore MJ in a playoff series, even though it was only by mere percentage points. Terry Cummings was definitely a formidable opponent for a young Michael Jordan at the time. Also, Sidney Moncrief, definitely Milwaukee's best perimeter defender. He also was an all-star. an NBA second. He also was on the NBA second team. He was also NBA first team all defense as well as an all star. He averaged 23, 5, 1, 5, 4, and 1 steal per game in the NBA in the NBA playoffs. He's actually one of the greatest. He is known as being one of the greatest perimeter defenders in NBA history, and a couple times he and Michael Jordan crossed paths in the early '80s when it came to not only in the playoffs and in the regular season because they were in the same division, but for awards in particular, All NBA First Team, Defense, and Defensive Player of the Year. Sidney Moncrief won a couple. Michael Jordan won his, and they always seemed to be going at it when it came to defensive awards, postseason awards, because they were going for the shooting guard position on the NBA Defensive First Team. And definitely because they were usually at the top of the steals lead throughout the regular seasons and stuff, various regular seasons. Michael and Sidney definitely had a quiet rivalry as far as who was the best defender in the league. I believe that Michael Jordan looked at Sidney Moncrief as a standard that he had to uphold and eventually surpass to become probably the greatest one of the greatest perimeter defenders, if not on the short list for the greatest perimeter defender of all time. And also Paul Presley. Paul Presley, definitely definitely one of the quieter key players for Milwaukee. He averaged. He was also all defensive first team. He was a player who averaged 15 points. He averaged 6 boards, 7 assists, and 2 steals in the playoffs. He was definitely hooping. He was actually one of the first earliest versions of the point forwards in NBA history. They didn't even know what to call him. His game was just so versatile. Him being about 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", who could dribble, pass, shoot. I mean, he had court vision. I mean, he could rebound. He could get out on the break. He was athletic. I mean, he was definitely versatile on the defensive side of the ball. He could get steals, he could get blocks. I mean, Pressy was definitely a quiet soldier. He would definitely be like your Sean Marion types. Definitely super athletic. You know, he has athleticism, good defender. But you know, he'll give you about 15 points per game. He'll have a game where he explodes. But for the most part, you know, just real steady, just a versatile player. Definitely, those were the main components of that team. Also, the key role players was Ricky Pierce, the sixth man, straight off the bench. He was the sixth man, 10 points per game. He was definitely instant scoring off the bench. Alston Lister, the big man, the center of the squad. He was definitely a rebounder and a blocks guy. He was eight points per game, 2 blocks per game during the playoffs. He was definitely the man in the middle for Milwaukee, and also Craig Hodges, the sharpshooting 3-point specialist, who incidentally a few years later would definitely be known as Michael Jordan's 3-point specialist teammate throughout those Bulls runs of the early '90s. But unfortunately for Craig, throughout these playoffs, he was definitely struggling. Although he averaged 8 points per game throughout the playoffs, he was definitely struggling with his 3-point shot, only shooting 17%. 17% from three. Definitely had a pretty bad series as far as from behind the line. But led by the eccentric Don Nelson, the Bucks were the best team, in my opinion. They were basically the best team out of the East that never made it to the finals. This team was definitely a combination of versatility on both the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. They could run, they could outrun and outscore with the best of them. With guys like Terry Cummins and Sidney Moncrief, who definitely could fill up the stat sheet. And you had guys like Ricky Pierce coming off the bench who had no problem pulling the trigger once he got into the game. But also defensively, they had guys like, once again, Sidney Moncrief, Pressey, Lister, who definitely were lockdown defenders and definitely gave Milwaukee a formidable defensive squad as well. Definitely, they could hang with just about any team throughout the 80s during that time. They were definitely a tough opponent. They were definitely a tough out. And they played a certain style of basketball that a lot of people definitely liked back in the day. And when they got together with the young Michael Jordan had to learn, that there were guys in the league, that when it came playoff time, they turned it up to another notch. And Michael Jordan, being the competitor that he was definitely up for the challenge. Terry Cummins gave him good offensive battles, good back and forth every night. Sidney Moncrief as well. They took turns guarding Mike. Mike was still doing his thing. Mike had his great heroics, especially Game 3 in Chicago, where he led a comeback where the Bulls were down. I want to say down like 6 or something like that, going into late into the fourth quarter. Michael Jordan just went crazy, went on a nice little run on himself. Then he went like on like an 8-0 run on his own. Took the game 3 victory. That was the only win for the Bulls, who was definitely outmanned. Michael Jordan definitely had to learn a tough lesson, that the lesson that I believe that he learned in this matchup was that him being a young hot shot, that he was definitely a small fish in a very, 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 very big ocean of players when it came to the playoffs, because the intensity, just the grit, the people hunkering down. You had teams like Milwaukee who were great at defense. They just, like, everybody just turned the dials up just a little bit more. And Mike got his first taste of it, but unfortunately for him, he was outmanned, he was outgunned. I mean, you had guys like like Charles Oakley, Corzine, Tucker. I mean, not necessarily household names. And MJ definitely had to endure basically just being outclassed by a better team. And that was a lesson that Michael Jordan had to learn. Although he had a very successful rookie year, rookie of the year, NBA second team defense, NBA third team. I mean, Michael Jordan, made his first All-Star game, slam dunk participant. The Air Jordans flying off the shelves. I mean, Michael Jordan definitely had a successful rookie year, but the Milwaukee Bucks definitely had to give him a hard lesson, that the high flying stuff, it comes to an end. Those regular season exploits, it comes to an end. The grip of the playoffs, once it's on you, and it's hard for you to get. It's hard to escape the grip of the playoffs. And I think that was definitely the lesson, the first lesson that Michael Jordan definitely had to learn. Big props to the Milwaukee Bucks of that time. Definitely had some household names: Don Nelson, Terry Cummins, Sidney Moncrief, Craig Hodges. I mean, this is a squad that not very many people remember. Unless you're a hardcore NBA fan, or you was a fan during this time. The Milwaukee Bucks was definitely an entertaining team. They just could not get over the hump because they were going up against teams that just had a little bit more depth than Milwaukee. Milwaukee only went about 6-7 deep, man. They were going up against squads like Philadelphia, Boston, Detroit, who could go we would go 8, 9, 10 deep. You know what I'm saying? They were definitely, although they were very top heavy and very talented at the top, once you start getting down that depth chart, the scoring, the defense, everything just started to drift off. But definitely got to give props to the 1984-1985 Milwaukee Bucks. Like I said, one of the best teams out of the East during that time, to make the NBA Finals. This was a perennial 50-win team. They were always at the top of the Central Division. They pretty much owned it for a few years before the bad boy Pistons, decided to take the next step in their maturity, quote unquote, in the game. But the Milwaukee Bucks, Don Nelson, man, a great guy, one of my favorite coaches of all time. One of the best, a very eccentric guy. I think that's probably why I liked him. Always liked his style of play. He liked to get up and down, run and gun. But this team definitely, it was basically more defensive focused, which surprised me because Don Nelson was always known for his offensive squads, from Run TMC to the squads, the Dallas Maverick squads when he had the big three of Dirk, Michael Finley, and Steve Nash. So definitely cool to look back and see this squad that definitely gave Michael Jordan a tough go, and served him a lesson that he later on would use to get himself out of the East. And with that being said, we'll leave it right there. It's your boy, man. I hope you guys had a great Labor Day weekend. It's Tuesday, back at it. Everybody's back to work. Everybody's back to school. Everything's back to normal pretty much. And I hope you guys had a great day, a productive day. I hope that you guys have a great evening. Spend your time with your loved ones, love on your loved ones, love on them babies. Tomorrow definitely is not promised. Just be safe. Be safe out there. Be respectful. Be responsible. Don't do anything stupid. Be a helping hand. Be kind. You already know what it is, man. Clear head. Good intentions in your heart, and you'll go far. You already know what it is, man. Hey, hopefully you guys have a great evening. Enjoy your Tuesday, and hopefully tomorrow we can reconvene tomorrow night for Q&A with your boy Skinny, man. You already know what it is, man. I'm looking forward to answering your questions. Definitely looking forward to that. And I hope that I'll see y'all tomorrow night. And with that being said, man, it's your boy Skinny Hardaway, and this is another episode of Retro Heat Check in the books. And I'd like to leave you with these words. Peace. And wear your sneakers. Oh yeah, go you. You already know what it is. Boy, Cam Ward, that's a bad man. That's a bad man.